Here, welcome to the stage, Paul Castro Jr. Well, stage, I say, table, but here we go. And Stephanie Magoni. All right, welcome to Extravacon.
Yeah.
By the way, love that.
Oh, I had to
Oh my
do
God.
it, you guys. The Goku jersey.
I love it.
Yeah, I got the diamond shirt.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. All right, outfits on point. All right, so I'm gonna ask a few questions, and then I'm gonna pass it over to the crowd. They're gonna ask you questions at the end, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Thank
So
you guys for showing up.
thank you for showing up.
Check 1, 2.
All right, so fans of anime always reference shows like Dragon Ball as one of the franchises that got them into anime. Over the many years, how does it feel to know you were part of someone's journey into anime?
I guess it's just, anime was not so mainstream when I first started voice acting back in the 90s. It was there, it was creeping in. Dragon Ball Z is obviously a big gateway anime. We call it one of the big gateway animes. And it's, 40 years, next year it's 40 years from the manga last year. And it's going to be 40 years from the original Dragon Ball episode next year. So I just, it's an honor. It really is. I think we have two completely different answers because, I started, it's just a whole different origin thing, but I think I'll let you answer. But it's just really an honor to be a part of something that's so iconic and so life-changing. Just such a big kudos to Japan for creating it and making, anime mainstream here and dubbed in so many different languages. And it's just a really, it's still going. Like it's, as an actor, sometimes you kind of feel like you learn that things are going to end, and if it doesn't end, that's fine. But this one just keeps coming back, and Akira's just amazing. So to be back for Daima after 16 years, I didn't ever think that was going to happen, and the fact that he's a little boy again, it's just, it's like a full circle moment for me personally.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy I'm sure like many of you, I grew up watching Dragon Ball. I grew up, in my bedroom reenacting Teen Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. And this was a part of my childhood, and these performances inspired me. I'm not even kidding you, to want to do this as a career, and I never really thought that it was possible. So as a fan, to then be a part of something that has not only been so impactful to me and probably many of you here, but the world, like we said, it's Dragon Ball. It's in the Macy's Day Parade. To see the significance grow to that. There's now a Dragon Ball store in Tokyo. They just keep putting out new shows, new games. For something to last this long, it truly is a testament to how amazing these stories are and the character writing. And obviously for me, getting to be a small part of the legacy of Vegeta, one of the best written characters in the history of storytelling, I never thought that would be even possible. It's an immense honor. I couldn't have dreamed for a cooler opportunity, and to work alongside my idols in a way. It's crazy, and I'm just excited for the fandom because we get so much.
We do, and we don't always get to work directly together. I know when we record separately, and some of us don't live in the same state even. So, a lot of times I rely on meeting up with Paul at these events. So I was really looking forward to this one, so that we can be together to do these panels and, do some double signings, hang out, get to know each other a little bit. So it's just, and I'm happy to see, I turn into a mom, basically. I wasn't able to have my own kids. I really wanted to be a mom. So I decided I'm just going to be an animom. So anime auntie and anime mom. So I don't know, I just turned into this nurturing kind of motherly. I was very close to my mom, and I lost her right after I got the role of Gohan. She passed away very suddenly at the age of 51. So I kind of feel like I'm meant to be a mom in some way, so I just kind of turn into one. And not that you're like a kid, but to me you're a kid, so
I still feel like a kid.
I just turn into this nurturing kind of, I don't know, I've mentored a lot of singers and starlets over the years, so I think that's part of the reason. But big welcoming arms open to Paul Castro Jr. He's a very talented guy. He's immersed in all kinds of different projects. So I'm just always so happy to welcome anybody that joins at any point in time. I know a lot of the minis were all new casted roles. Taylor Murphy, Bulma Mini. Yeah, and so it's just really fun when we can kind of unite and kind of get caught up on life and just hang out together. So we're just really happy to be here.
Yes, thank you guys for coming. Seriously,
Yeah.
it makes this all worth it.
I guess piggybacking off of what you just said, because I know the last panel they said that sometimes they do separate sessions and sometimes they do sessions together in voice acting. Do you have experience doing anything together in voice acting, like in the same session? Or has it always been separate sessions, I guess?
It's always separate sessions or at least for what we had worked on, but you get lucky sometimes and either one of us will have recorded first or second. Yeah. So like if I had gone in earlier, then Stephanie would get to hear my lines recorded instead of only the Japanese, which we are dubbing to. So in that way, sometimes we get that opportunity.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the timing and the deadlines and the scheduling. I think most of my sessions were, I did hear mostly the Japanese, but every once in a while somebody will, come in. Like I want to say I heard Pansy's voice actor a few times with video games, and which we mostly hear more of the dialogue and doing the episodes as opposed to the video games. But I always like to hear what's going on or what's going on in the scene. It just helps us feel like we're more in the moment of what's going on, and we just take the direction from there. But it's a real treat when it comes out and you can watch it actually airing on Crunchyroll or Toonami. And when you see it aired, I don't know if you've seen any of the Toonami, the bumpers or something. We never got to see that because those are put together post-production before it airs. And so I had fun watching it while it was actually airing, like every Saturday night, and I was just really pumped up to for how well it came together, and wish so much that it was more episodes.
I know, you guys got to keep supporting it and let them know you want more seasons of Diamond.
We're gonna do some movies too. I think it'd be really cool to do some offshoot movies when they're still mini. I don't know what's in store if we're involved or not. I obviously love the franchise regardless. Yep. But it would be a really cool thing just to see some movie made.
You gotta get it trending. You gotta post something, then the entire Extravacon starts just being like movie.
Yeah.
And start something.
Toei listens to that. They listen to the fans. They really like to hear the feedback and how it's going with certain, series, certain voice actors. And the only reason I was brought back, Toei Japan listened to the fans, and the fans wanted the nostalgia of Goku Mini's voice. So I just I knew it was happening. I'd heard about it, but I never assumed anything, which is good to never assume anything. Keep your expectations low, because you never know what the creative process is like or what the director has in mind, or and for me it was a completely different director. And so to be called back in to be back was it's all Toei and the fans, and we couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to ask this question correctly. So I'm gonna read it. Voice acting is one of the hardest jobs. You are speaking through the face of someone else while portraying that character and hoping the audience buys in. Which character, in your opinion, was the hardest to grab the audience's attention, and which was the easiest?
That's a good question. So for anything we've done, I guess, because you have another projects that he's worked on a lot of other projects.
Yeah, you go first. Let me think.
Okay. For me, coming from the perspective of just getting into voicing for anime, this was way back in 1998. I had done some voices for toys, and I did a lot of singing voices, character voices for Chuck E. Cheese, and toys that honestly, the little sound bites they put in the toys, and you push the button and they start singing, and it's like, so I came from that into anime. So I knew a little bit about how it's done. But I was never really cast as a character that you're credited. These are literally I can't even count how many. A screaming witch, and a kid that's scared at Halloween, a bunny that's singing "Here Comes Peter Cottontail." So I came from that and then kind of morphed into the offshoot of the audition for Dragon Ball Z. So for me, it was not live. There was no, because I sang in a show band for almost 30 years, where you're performing, you're changing costumes. It's like a Sha-Na-Na meets B-52s extravaganza type show. So I was used to performing for live audiences as well as theater and musical theater. So when I got into voice acting, I would still smile and try to kind of perform, but I didn't have to do that. So I channeled that energy into just the voice, and then I had to kind of learn my way by the direction mostly, and just to get into the idea of how it's done. And then that's when I kind of realized, well, I don't have to be wasting energy for an audience that isn't there. So I channeled all of that back in, and then obviously through the voice, and hoped that what I did was, you know, you rely on the director for a lot of that. So that's kind of my thing. But the hardest for me was probably Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and the hours and hours of session time, not complaining at all, but it was very trying for my voice, and I was a soprano singer at the time, so my voice was even higher, and I was having to channel this Clint Eastwood type badass voice, and then of course we screamed at the end of the session. Even back in the olden days, we had the rewind and fast forward button, and so I was able to kind of if I blast my voice out, I could rest and maybe skip a day and come back after that. So, I mean, you're never going to complain. We love to work. We love to really challenge ourselves creatively. So that was the most challenging. Probably the side voices, like the German English teacher. I played a lot of side voices. Those were easier for me because I could just jump in and out, and there was only a few lines. You know, like, I think I was a German English teacher. East Kai was easier. It's like, way up here, oh my. And I really only got that role because it was so different from Goku and Gohan. We didn't want any confusion, because some people, when you get voices that are a little similar, it could be a little, So that's probably my answer.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different answers for what was either difficult or hard to convey for numerous reasons, and a couple that come to mind. I mean, I know most of you guys maybe saw the Yu-Gi-Oh panel, I think, or maybe folks who had worked on Yu-Gi-Oh previously. I know Darren Dunstan was in here. He's my director on the new Yu-Gi-Oh series, Go Rush, and the way that we dub that show is Darren on his side, because we do it remotely, he is watching the video on his end and kind of like timing out, because we have to match the duration for the lip flaps. So he's watching it kind of in his mind, and then he's like giving us a time frame to try and hit it in, and then they can massage it by either speeding up the clip or slowing it down. And that voice for me is very high in my register. He's super up here. He's like a 14-year-old kid. So doing that and trying to hit all the timing is very difficult sometimes. And then even differently in video games, I worked on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I played the Chocobo Rancher guy, Chocobo Billy. And with them, they're not forgiving at all in terms of how much over or under you can be. They'd say 3 frames is like the amount that it can be different from the original Japanese. So you have to really hit it close within, the localization and the timing. And then just the mechanics physically, Dragon Ball, obviously going Super Saiyan 3 was so demanding, and I really wanted to put my all into that, and those are tough on the vocal cords. When you really kind of go all out, you leave those sessions I don't know if I can talk for a week after that. And I'm working on a show now where it's kind of a similar deal. It's called Twisted Wonderland, and the character is constantly screaming like venom coming out of his mouth, and you got to be careful, and you don't want to overwork yourself, because you'll come back the next day and the character sounds really high and chipper, and then you come back tomorrow and he sounds like this, and they're like, hang on a second, what's going on here?
Right.
I have no voice, so this is what it sounds like. They're like, all right, come back next week.
Right. It's got to be consistent.
Yeah.
It's very important that you get, sports, it depends on the director, but I know for me, I kind of feel like, because I feel like compared to today, we kind of roughed it, we didn't realize we were roughing it. Because, we would be called it, depending on your lines count and when the deadlines were, and then I was singing and traveling with a show band, and sometimes I'd be home for a few days, and sometimes I'd be on the road for 28 days and come home, and then on the road for 2 weeks. My schedule was so sporadic, and I had just learned to just turn it on when it had to turn on. Not that I wasn't doing damage, because I was. There were some times when I was really doing significant damage to my voice, because I was singing in a rock band, and then I had just done a session the day before. And so, those in-between times, if there was any, were very important. Rest, water, hot tea, all of the things. And I think I was just pounding my voice just because, the show must go on. You have that mentality, right? And then from then till now, you definitely have more time in between. I don't know about you, but The sessions can be anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 2 to 4 hours. But back in the day when I was voicing Gohan in Dragon Ball Z, my session was all day long. We might have a lunch break. So I'm used to overdoing it. So now I'm like, I feel like because it's so different, and I'm not singing in a band because I'm doing Comic-Cons, that it's a whole lot easier. So when they're like, well, we don't want to push you, and I'm like, dude, I've been here 2 hours, I'm good. But if your voice does show signs of fatigue or there is pain involved, I like that they're usually pretty flexible about, like, they want the show to be good. Like, listen, if you want to call it now, we'll add an hour to the next session and we'll knock it out then.
Yeah.
So I think that it just depends on the deadlines more than anything, and the pressure that they get with post-production, you know, once we leave kind of thing. It's like, no, we have to have you in, like, by the end of the week. If it's pressure like that, you know, you just got to take care of your voice. And I think we learned how to do that because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. I mean, to go all day, I couldn't imagine doing that. I'm spoiled rotten hearing that. So, yeah, and the directors are a lot more conscious today. So
Yeah,
it's
and I think in that regard, it's harder with the voice acting because it's just a dry read and you can hear every nuance of everything that's going on with your throat. Whereas when I was singing in bands, I could literally just be like, you know, just make up, because you're singing lead, but you can sing whatever you want because you're singing a song to an audience. So for me, I just feel like, you know, my voice has to be bang on when I'm voice acting, much more so than when I'm singing, because I can kind of fake it. I can go into my falsetto voice. I can trade songs with the other girls if I'm sick, and so I just think it's with voice acting, it's just. The director can really tell when something's not right. And we can usually know immediately. I don't know about you, but when they have us do a line, specifically with Jonathan, I would do it immediately again when I thought I didn't get it right. And let him pick one or two.
Right.
He's like, oh, I kind of like the A. You like the B? Oh, wow, you sure? Okay. And you just let them choose.
Yeah.
And then you kind of surprise yourself because you didn't really need to do it twice, but you wanted to give them an option.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I can do that better.
Well, I think you've been doing this and you know these characters so well too, and you work with directors. Jonathan Rigg, our director, knew Dragon Ball so much. He was a huge fan. But I think from hearing you, you know, he trusted you and you trusted him to be like, all right, if you think like, I think I should try it like this, he was super receptive to that type of stuff.
That was the first time I felt that kind of flexibility and liberty that was given to me as an actor to try it the way I think Goku would do it. And so that also helped with efficiency. So they would run the scene and I would listen and I would hear the Japanese and in my ear, they called it the J. And then you could time it out in your head almost immediately. Then you get your 3 beeps, and on the 4th imaginary beep, you just go. And so sometimes I would just nail it straight out the gate. And sometimes I would overthink it, like we tend to do, and I'll do 2 more, 3 more. And he's like, no, man, I think you got it. I think that first one was okay. So you just kind of have to know that boundary between you as a voice actor and the director, so that, you know, that you don't push that line and they don't push the line either, so you can kind of just get a nice little chemistry going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good chemistry with Jonathan, didn't you?
Yeah, I think he was great. It's funny too, just like for me, because you know you had done Goku before, and that was like that blueprint was there for you. My blueprints were kind of the Japanese, and also like Chris Sabat, and even before him Brian Drummond, and we were very specific in terms of like, okay, how similar do we want Vegeta to sound to Chris's performance? How similar do we want it to sound to the Japanese? How young do we want it to sound? And so we were, you know, falling within like, okay, this sounds too much like Chris. Okay, he sounds too old here. Okay, now he sounds too young.
Right.
And we just kept kind of playing until we found like this voice that had elements of everything combined, like a sweet spot. So,
Yeah.
but that was a lot of trial and error.
I could see that, especially from the very beginning. It's reminiscent of when I got cast as Gohan, because I came in and auditioned for all the females, not knowing anything about Dragon Ball Z or anything about anime. But we had to come up with a voice and then stick with it.
Yeah.
So I could see why maybe the first 2 sessions or
Yeah.
so would be like, let's make sure we got this. And then you can kind of like mimic yourself, and then you kind of know where you're at.
Well, I thought I got fired because we had recorded the first 3 episodes first. Like, we came in and recorded them because they were doing the movie version, and then we didn't hear back from them for like months.
And
I was so paranoid that I got fired because I was like, it was because of the voice. They didn't like it or whatever it was, and then like they went another direction.
Yeah.
And I would like I'd email my agent and be like, hey, even though like it didn't really matter, I'm like, hey, my availability is just changing, so if you want to let Crunchyroll know, in case, so we could get a confirmation if they're gonna want these dates or not. And they're just like, we're good, we're chill. I'm like, oh my God, they fired me. They fired me. They're not calling me in. Why are they not calling
Yeah,
me
it
in?
happens. And I know some of the origin stories for Dragon Ball Z. I know one in particular reminds me of that story. Cynthia Krantz was cast as Chi-Chi back in the same time I was cast as Gohan. And so she did a session and then didn't get called back for like 3 months because she did so many of her lines in that session of like 2 or 3 hours. So she nailed everything and wasn't needed. And she thought she got replaced. And it can happen, believe me. So, we want to be good. If you're really dedicated and passionate about what you do, I don't know about you, but I don't half-ass any line.
No.
Especially being brought back. I'm like, okay, this is such a blessing. I am not going to mess it up. I'm not going to talk about it. They told us not to talk about it. I followed every rule. I'm like, I'm not here. I had blinders on when I went to the session at Crunchyroll. I didn't want anybody to see me. Yep. I didn't want to brag about it. I was just so thankful and grateful to be back.
It's crazy, and you want to be respectful to the clients and to the company, and you know we're ambassadors of these properties.
Yes.
So it's very important, and we get to interact with you guys for fans sometimes. So I know a lot of you guys have questions sometimes. They're like, so when is when are the English voices coming out for Sparking Zero? I got that question a lot. I'm like, I don't know. I can't say NDA. But we love this as much as you guys. So
and Toei was very particular in because of Akira Toriyama's passing. There was an even larger veil over the property, when it was going to be released in Japan, which networks, the timing with the movie preview in November of last year. So there was such a delicate little dance we had to do around that, and so I just chose to just not say anything. And I found with time that the fans would announce when they would see it, and I would just kind of go along or share it that way. That way I know I'm honoring the legacy as well as Toei's wishes.
It's literally, I think, like this week or last week, the 1-year anniversary of the movie coming out, right? That's so crazy.
It was November, I remember it was November like 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yes.
Because a lot of us in Dallas went, and it was like the director, his wife, myself, a lot of the minis, and a lot of the characters, the new characters that were cast were there, and we sort of held the theater hostage, all of us and our friends. And so when we were watching it, we felt like we were at our own little baby premiere of Dynamo.
Oh, that's so. I was in LA, so I didn't get to go to this.
You're always invited for sure. But
No, they specifically said no Vegeta. We don't need that energy at a premiere right now.
We don't need you grumbling in the back.
Yeah.
What is this?
I'm kidding.
No, he's joking.
No, I'm joking.
He's invited to everything and everything.
Yes,
yeah. But he's in LA and works. It's logistically.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic for clarity for the cameras. Being sarcastic. Yeah.
I definitely think the tuning with the voice, it definitely is hard. But I will say, it's portrayed really, really well when it comes out on the shows. Like you grasp at it, right? Not just like looking at it, but like hearing it. Mm-hmm. So you make a connection there. But I guess the next question I'll go forward is there any character beyond Dragon Ball that you'd want to voice out for? Doesn't have to, like I said, doesn't have to be Dragon Ball. It could be if you want, or another series, another show.
For me, it would be a character that sings. I want to be a singer that does the character voice with the singing. Kind of like the closest thing I can reference would be Jodie Benson, my Little Mermaid, the original, because she not only did the voice, but she also sang the songs. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of times whoever's casting, Disney or Pixar or whatever, they usually, if it's a musical, they will go with a different voice actor for the voice and a different singer for the singing voice. Well, she got to do both, and I thought she nailed it. So, not that I'm saying I want to be this or that. I'm just saying if I could have the opportunity to audition for something like that, that would be like a bucket list dream for me.
Oh, that's such a fun fact. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the musical theater thing. Because music is what got me into the voice of singing, and then acting came later, and then voice acting came well into my singing career. So, that or writing parodies and jingles again, like for radio. Like I'm a big Weird Al fan. Grew up, listening to him changing the lyrics, and I kind of had a knack for that because I was writing poetry. So I ended up finding myself writing these funny comedic parodies for like morning show radio. I would love to get back into doing some of that. I don't know what avenue I would take, but I want to get back in the studio and record.
Well, Christmas time's coming up.
Yeah.
There's a Christmas song on my website actually that's written, produced. I didn't play the instruments, but we coexisted together, like co-writing. And there is a Halloween song and a Christmas song, and they are sung very much like how Goku or Gohan would sing. They're little kid songs. They're novelty. They're super cute. They're there for your listening pleasure. If you want to, and some of the anime themes too. Your answer.
If I could voice any other character, do we have any RPG fans out here? Am I gonna make a reference that you guys know? Do we all know Chrono Trigger? You know that game?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the what people might think would be the answer is like if Chrono ever got a voice, but I would love to voice Frog in like if they did like a remake of the game. I just love that character so much. He gets this guy who's like a knight gets turned into a frog, and I just think it's hysterical. I think that would be really cool if they do anything with that. Or like even something in like the superhero universe. I'm a big like Nightcrawler. I'd love to do like Kurt Wagner, like do something very, very fun like that. Or just like an original thing that pushes me as an actor to do something very, very difficult, like either emotionally or comedically or intensely manipulating my voice, just something that is like narratively going to challenge me in all facets. I think that's what I'm looking for ultimately. It doesn't matter if I know it or if I don't know it. I just want to be challenged as an actor.
Yeah, and I think the auditioning process also gets us kind of prepared for that opportunity, just to be able to audition and you don't think about it. If they call you back, hey, they might like your voice for a totally different character that might not be on your brain at all. And so, you know, if you don't audition, you don't have a chance at it. So even if you don't get anything, you don't get cast in anything for a while, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because the director's looking for what they're looking for, and you can't be in their head to determine that. So.
It's so funny, and I had a moment like that happen recently. I'm in this, like I was saying earlier, this new show called Twisted Wonderland, and it's based on like the Disney villains and stuff. And there's this character that I had a callback for. His name is Ace, and he's kind of like the goofy troublemaker. And I was like, oh, this fits right in my wheelhouse. And they called me in for a callback for that, and I'm like, okay, great. I feel really good about this. I feel he's close to me personality-wise and stuff. And then last minute, they're like, can you actually read for this other character, Riddle, who's like the Queen of Hearts, and he's very angry, and he's posh, British. And I was like, I'm not going to get this character. There's no way. And then that's the one I wound up booking, because like last minute, they're like, you know what, let's just see if he can do it, and if the intensity is there. And so you never know. Sometimes they want you for one thing, and then they're like, actually, maybe you're better for something else. So they always say, too, you're not auditioning for the role, you're auditioning for the next role sometimes. You might not be great for that project, but you might be better for the next thing they're working on.
True.
So you try to be memorable.
If you think, I know what you feel like, because we know our voices and we know what sounds we can produce. So the more you know your voice and the more you know what you're capable of doing, the more you're going to like choose when you do have choices, as far as like, I'm going to read for this and I'm going to freaking read for that, just because I think that's, I really want to do like a wacky character. I'm ready to do something really wacky and over the top insane, maybe monsters and creatures, and I don't know, that's always something I would like, because it can be anything, and you get so much artistic license when you can just go, you can do it your own way, and it becomes like you're not even talking,
right,
kind of stuff.
I had something happen too where, again, you want to just read for everything you can. I had this audition where literally the breakdown said like 60-year-old guy, Southern, angry, aggressive, volatile, and I'm like, I'm not anyway gonna get this. So I did a really bad impersonation of John Bernthal in The Walking Dead, and I wound up booking the character. I'm like, when I walked in, they were like, are you here for the right thing? We're looking for this guy who's this, and I'm like, no, that was me. Like I just put that character on. They're like, oh, okay. So sometimes you never know when you get the freedom to play that maybe it works out. So never say no.
Right.
All right. Well, we are in New York, so I gotta ask: do you have a favorite spot to eat? Since we are, very cultural over here in New York. We got a lot of stuff.
I mean, I grew up in New York, so my family's from Brooklyn. I lived in Manhattan for a while. I mean, Joe's Pizza, Artichoke Pizza. I'm gonna pick all the Italian spots that are in Little Italy because it's my favorite. Anything in Little Italy is amazing, but Joe's Pizza is pretty darn good.
Yeah, the Italian food is amazing. I haven't been to New York enough to really establish a favorite, but I always go with my friends that I'm meeting or people's suggestions. I'm really into Peruvian food. There's a Peruvian restaurant in one part of Brooklyn that is so delicious, kind of like family style, and I found that I really like Peruvian food, and so much that when we went to the UK in March, we sought out a Peruvian place to eat, kind of Turkish Peruvian, and Dan even like my manager, bestie guy that comes with me anyway. He's very meat and potatoes, Fort Worth, Texas. We're going, and I was surprised that he liked it too. But I also very much love Asian food. I really, really love Asian cuisine, Japanese in particular, as long as it's not too spicy.
L&B Pizzas, Pomoni Gardens as well. That's Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's great.
Man, Brooklyn, man, that's where it's at right now.
I love Brooklyn. So many of my people in my sphere right now I'm finding are from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, man. You know what's so crazy? I was talking to Marty Babsky. His
Right.
Yeah, and I looked up. I got did some research on him. His dad owned a deli in Brooklyn, Babsky's Deli, in Canarsie. I'm not sure if it's still open. I actually didn't look that up, but you gotta ask him if it's still open. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
I watched his demo reel along with Dan, and he's actually come straight out of the acting profession, and he started, with, which is great for a voice actor. If you can get that training in the acting, that you gotta have that. That's really gotta be your foundation. But he was in like Law and Order, and it's so funny because I've only seen him at these Comic-Cons, and he's his over the top, voice, and we've done some collaboration videos together, and it's just really neat to go back when you've known someone for a while and then kind of go back and see what their previous career was like. It's pretty impressive.
No, 100%. So I'll ask one more and I'll pass it over to the crowd. Has there been any fan interaction or memorable experience that you made that made you take a step back and be like, wow, I didn't know the role I played had that effect on you?
Lots of them. It's hard to pick one, but a lot of the ones that really touch my heart and soul are people, say fans that grew up watching Dragon Ball Z because they were escaping some really harsh, domestic abuse, or there was a lot going on in their life. They were trying to stay off the streets, and they were trying to find their identity through puberty. And I know for me personally, I moved around a lot, so I was constantly trying to find some kind of foundation that was just kind of like ripped away every 2 to 3 years. So I was bullied a lot, mostly mentally, not really as much physically, but being in the being trying out for the plays and wanting to sing in the bands and wanting to, it made it really even more difficult for me to fit in. And I wasn't an athlete, so if I'm not going to win the games or be an athlete, so that was hard for me. So when I hear these stories of kids who have a similar background as myself, those are the ones that are the most profound, and those are the ones that do make me take a step back and really honor that this is much bigger than it's much bigger than myself. And to hear some of the stories of them, being picked on at school for watching it, or like they told me I was a loser, and then I'll hear someone else say, "Oh, if you didn't watch Dragon Ball Z, you were a loser." So it's just fun to hear how the kids interacted when I'd get off the school bus and run as fast as I could, and I would tell everybody to shut up, and I'd slam my door, and I'd watch Dragon Ball Z every day. Like, it's just cool to think about that, and it's the impact is really. It gives you kind of that validation that we don't have to have, but that we're always open to hear.
Yeah, it's amazing how much this can touch people. I think similarly, I think the moments that stand out are like folks in the military who are like, I was overseas and I sat and I binged this series, and it just kind of kept me like in a good headspace while I'm dealing with something tough. Or you hear folks who are like, a family member of mine passed away, and before, like, we would sit and watch this together, and that's how we spend time. And now every time I watch this, I think about that person. So it countless stories of folks who just have been, it's touched them in a deep way, and then they go and get tattoos, and it's like a part of them for the rest of their life. So it's crazy, and I'm just honored to be a part of the whole process.
And it reminds us what our nostalgia is. So that I think about my disco music and the music I used to listen to, and the dances and the cartoons I grew up. So it's like, and then when you see people grow up and then they bond with their parent, and then they grow up and have kids and they bond the same way with their children, that is profound.
And that's what's cool about Daima is because obviously a lot of us are fans who grew up watching Dragon Ball OG and Dragon Ball Z and stuff, and then there's a whole new generation that's watching Daima with their kids now for the first time, and that's like their first intro to Dragon Ball, which is crazy to me in a way that like, you know, it's going this long and to be a part of, you know, 10 years from now, you see that kid in a convention, they're like, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Daima. It's like, what? Hello?
I just make sure you're.
Oh, is it on?
There
Check,
it is.
check.
It's just cutting
Oh,
out.
crank the volume.
Yeah, but I think Daima is simple enough for somebody new to watch and kind of get an idea of what's going on without having to go back. But if anything, it probably gets them excited about going back
To
and
go
watching.
back, yeah.
Yeah, to the beginning. Because I don't know if you guys realize, like when I first started voicing for Dragon Ball Z as Gohan, it was like the Ginyu Saga. And none of us knew, a lot of us that were casting didn't know what anime was, nor did we know really where the story was going, and hadn't watched it before. So it was like a totally different thing. And then we all found out there's a Dragon Ball. Like, oh, what's this? Dragon Ball? Oh, that's the original. You know, you kind of learn as you go. But then when you start with Daima, I think if the kids really grasp it and they're really bonding with their parents, they probably want to watch Dragon Ball and start over.
Yeah, that's got to be fun for anyone who's a parent who's got a kid to like watch that and to go back and maybe they're like, oh, what? There's all this? There's all these movies? It's like endless. You can watch like something every day and they could literally from now until like they turn 7, they could still be watching Dragon Ball. You watch an episode a day. It's crazy.
Yeah, because there's GT, there's the movies, there's the BoJack Unbound, Cooler's Revenge, there's Path to Power. Like, that's why the reason I said I really want a Daima movie, because I know they can do it, and I know they can do these little offshoots, and it can be done. So I really hope it happens. If it doesn't, that's okay, obviously, but I just think it'd be great to like have an extension of what kind of little we did, our little piece in time of Dragon Ball.
100%. You know, it's funny you said the thing before about, you know, not being cool and then being cool. Like, I remember, I'm going to age myself, but like going back to elementary school, many years ago, many years ago at this point, I just remember everyone bullying me for it. Everyone bullying me for Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, everything, right? Because it wasn't cool. It's funny now that I'm a teacher, that seems to be like the coolest thing in the world now. The vibe has changed. Like the entire vibe is like, if you're not watching it now, you really are missing out on everything.
Like, where have you been? It's all over the place now. It's
but like it wasn't like that back
right.
then.
No,
Like you really were getting bullied for liking those things. So it's definitely changed over time. 100%, I have to agree.
Totally.
Definitely.
All right, I'll take some questions from the crowd. Yeah, right here.
Do you guys have a favorite moment of your respective characters?
I like the comedy. I like just really trying to channel that little kid that was raised in the woods, that's a boy that I could never be, and really deliver the lines authentically through the eyes of Kid Goku. He does not know what a girl is. He's heard about them, but he doesn't know how to treat them. He doesn't know he has no decorum. He just spits out whatever comes into his little kid brain. And who doesn't love comedy? We all want to laugh. And if you can really nail it, I knew there was a director early on named Barry Watson. He's the guy who asked me to come in and audition from some of my singing gigs. And the guy was very serious. He was very good at what he did, and he'd been doing it for a long time. But if you could get that guy to chuckle on one of your lines, like if you did a line and then you're quiet and he chuckles, you know that's the one. Yeah. And he would say, "One more for the children." You know, and that kind of gets you pumped up, like, oh yeah, this is for kids, you know? So I like the comedic stuff, but Gohan was my first, and that was when my mom was fighting cancer, and so that was my moment to share with her when I first started into anime. So we got to watch that together one time. Yeah. So that one's it's like having a kid. You know when they ask you your favorite? Yes, I have all these kids, and I love them all the same.
No, the comedic stuff for me too. I think any of the banter between Goku and Vegeta was just so fun. Them screaming at each other when Vegeta's head's getting, he's like, no, it's my turn, you know, like that.
How do you figure?
Yeah, the whole fighting of who gets to fight the Tamagamis next was hysterical.
Oh, and the Neva's in the front, these kids actually they enjoy combat.
Yeah.
It's they're fighting over who gets to fight the Tamagami and get pummeled. What is this all about? I loved it too.
Hysterical.
Yeah, and it was just great because to finally meet in person. I want to say it was MegaCon in February.
Yeah, that was the first time, yeah.
That's the first time we got to meet, and they put us together, and it was just so much fun. We did a lot of double signings, a lot of double picks, and yeah, that was just great.
And just so welcoming. Honestly, I was terrified to join this, but to have Stephanie, someone who done this and been through it, and to like be so kind and welcoming was, I could not have asked for like a better co-star in this. It's just like it made it all the cooler to be a part of it. Like,
Same, because I was just so excited to hear what these new minis were going to sound like. Because Vegeta Mini, that's a first time role. Like, he was never a child before.
in that way, yeah.
In a child in a child, well, like an adult in a child's body.
Yes,
and I just thought he nailed it. I'm not just saying that because he's sitting right next to me. I'd say it when he wasn't here, but
Thank you. That's
I just
very
yeah.
kind.
Yeah, it's not even just colleagues. It's friendship, and then
Yeah.
also it's like you said, that motherly vibe as well that you have as well.
Yeah, I
I
know.
can't help it. My mom was such a nurturer. She was such a good mom. So that's never gonna die. That's like in my heart forever.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if you played any Dragon Ball video games, and if you have, which ones do you like?
I've played Sparking Zero, and I'm not great at it, but I love fighting games, and it's super fun. I'm not, like I said, I'm not great, but I did go through all the storyline stuff, which is fun. The Great Ape was such a hard fight when the game first came out. I was like, how do you beat this? Yeah, and then the fight was so tough. And obviously I played some of the Kakarot stuff, which was super cool. And my favorite Dragon Ball game growing up, funny enough, was Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on the Wii, because it was the first time they introduced the sticks. Like, you could do like a Kamehameha by like going like, you turn them up and then go like this, and then that's how you would do the Kamehameha. It was crazy.
The motion.
Yeah, it's cool.
My video game history started in the arcade in the 80s when I was a kiddo, and I could go back and play any of those games at any time, but I would literally lose
Which game?
hours of life. My favorite was, at the very beginning, was Pac-Man.
All right.
And then Miss Pac-Man came out at super speed, and I was completely hooked. And I could play that game for hours, and I purposely don't go unless I know I have like a lot of time free to like, because I will just play forever. Like that, yeah. But so I grew up on the original arcade stand-up cabinet games, which you're seeing coming back.
They are coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're opening up arcades, and but as far as the most recent, I think would be the Wii, like you were talking about, because my nieces were little girls when actually they weren't even born yet when I got cast. But Sarah, my niece, who's 26 now, was born in '99, and then when they got to like play games, they got the Wii, and we were playing the. I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
I was just listening to hear the voices of the castmates, and it was really, really cool. But I'd love to play. I don't have any of the video game equipment, or I'm not up to date with all the technology. But I'd play it for fun.
Yeah, it is super fun. The games are great.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta get that retro machine back in your place then.
Somewhere in one of our boxes we have an Atari 2600,
Oh.
and that was my first video game experience. Was the at-home Atari 2600, and then I remember we got the 5800, and everybody was coming over because that was the new one. I had stepbrothers and a brother, and I was the only girl, so there were people just piling in wanting to play our 5800 all summer long.
Yeah.
I'm actually remembering, sorry, I used to have this thing, it was called a Pro Action Replay. It let you play Japanese games on your PlayStation 1. And there was this PlayStation Dragon Ball game at the time, but it was only available in Japan. So you'd have to like trick your PlayStation to think it was playing an American English game, then you'd swap the disc and put the Japanese disc in, and so I had this Dragon Ball game, one of the first OG PlayStation ones, and I played all the time.
Did it work?
It did work, but it was like such a complicated. You have to like get tape to hold the thing down to make the thing spin, so you could still switch the discs. But I did it to play this Dragon Ball game. So funny.
But the things you do for love, the things you do to get what you want and need when you're a kid, you'll just spend hours if you have to.
No, but it is love. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember for the GameCube there was a crossover video game called Battle Stadium DON that featured Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Naruto. There was an actual replay for the GameCube that lets me play Japanese games on my American GameCube, so I played that on my American GameCube.
Wow. So it's still going strong. Ways to trick the system.
You'll find a way.
Yeah. All right. Right here.
So first, just thank you both for the incredible performances you've both done. It's okay, two quick questions. First for Ms. Nadolny, you mentioned a little bit about sort of, both of you talked a little bit about, referencing some of the Japanese actors as a source of inspiration for how to create the voices. For Gohan and young Goku, did you have any particular inspiration, or?
Just the kids I grew up with, and I as a child, I wasn't just singing, I was also mimicking people, and it was funny because people thought I was making fun of them. I was totally not. Like, my heart is huge for people, but I was like trying to challenge myself to see if I could sound like this or like that. And so whenever I'm asked to audition, I do think about references, whether it's someone I knew. I know for one of my voices, I channeled my Aunt Manya, Stephanie, and I just became this elderly woman voice. And I remember my mom would be like, "You can't do that because people are going to think you're making fun of them." I'm like, "But I'm not. I'm challenging myself. I want to be really good at that voice, or I want to be a voice like that mixed with that to make a totally different voice." Like, because that's what you really need to be working on when you go to voice acting. Is you got to come up with something unique, because all the other, they're all already cast. They don't need anybody. It's like you got to come up with something unique and different for each character. So, yeah. So I did use references, but they were all in my head. They were all jumbled. Yeah.
And then the other question is, Mr. Castor kind of talked about this a little bit with going back and forth with tweaking the voice for Vegeta Mini.
Yeah.
How did you both go about really, because it's not just having the young characters, it's having the young characters with a lifetime of experience behind them, so they're not just children.
Yeah.
So how did you really go about balancing that?
Well, that's what I think the biggest challenge for Vegeta was, because he's not a kid. It is Vegeta at the end of the Buu saga and before Super, so that's a very unique time where he's just done some kind of like, valiant but villainous stuff in the Buu saga, and then at Super he becomes a much more kind of like older and refined and mature actually in his personality. So it was interesting to kind of like float in between those two times that it's not really been documented in any sort of canon material yet, to find the maturity but also find the youthfulness and the fun moments too, to not stray away from. Vegeta is a funny character at certain times, and he has those things where he's like, what? Like where he like has those things where he gets kind of like high pitched in that way. So to not stray away from those things, but we just took it kind of moment by moment, but we talked for a while before we even recorded anything, and that was great to get on the same page.
Yeah, I had an advantage in the sense that I had played Kid Goku in Dragon Ball GT. So now it was years before, many years before. But I had to channel a grown man Goku into the small body. Just that's kind of where I referenced it. And then I had another advantage too. Goku's not very smart, so it's kind of like, well, I don't want to make him dumb. I don't want to make him sound dumb, but I want to make him sound like authentic. But he, like one of the questions in Daima, one of the characters, Pansy's like, I can't believe you're a father and you have kids and like you're eating all this. It's like she's like, I can't believe you're a father, and she's like, how did you raise kids and do all these? I wasn't really involved, because he was out saving the world, and people tease Goku about being a bad dad, and then they think, oh, Piccolo's more like his dad, and So I had an advantage that I had some experience doing that, but the cool thing with coming back was it had been so long, and like I said, that's why it's like a full circle, because he is in a child's body, but the bickering between the two, that was just so much fun. Yeah, Bulma was telling you Bulma wears the pants in that relationship.
Putting Vegeta in his place, man. Vegeta values bath time, I'll say that.
Yeah, she knew when to pull out all the stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's where we really honestly rely on the acting experience. Like, you can have a great voice, and there's some great voice actors, but to be really good at what you do, you have to have that foundation of acting and really be able to channel the character and do it all through your voice. So I'm not saying it's easier or harder, like, because everybody has something they're naturally good at, like they just pick up on it. So
Thank you.
All right, I'll take one more question. Yeah, last question. Here we go.
You inspired me to want to be a storyteller. I'm curious, what stuff inspired you to want to be a voice actor and actress?
The singing started it all for me, which is the voice. So I think I didn't really realize I was kind of heading in that direction, but I knew that I wanted to be a singer, and I wanted to use my voice. And Donna Summer was my favorite singer of all time. And when I heard her sing, I think I was 4, and I was literally like, I feel like I was transformed. Like, I knew at that moment that that's what I wanted to do. And I would, sing her songs and mimic all these singers. And then as I got older, it was like I learned you have to develop your own voice. So then I had to get, kind of creative with my own voice, and I'd write poetry and songs and play piano. And I just did all of that on my free time. So I think I was kind of training as I grew up, and it kind of just made sense to do musicals, and it made sense to do these character voices. I think I would need some training to do something really serious. And so that's why I went to college for dramatic arts. I really wanted to learn how to act and be a serious dramatic actor. That's a good question.
I was 4 years old during the anime boom. I was 4 years old watching Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. I was 4 years old when that came out, and I still watch it today.
I love that. The fans, you guys are great. You're so loyal, and we just love you guys so much.
Thank you both for taking the time today to answer our questions, and thank you all for being here as well.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, we made
Yeah.
it.
So before we
Wanna get a photo with everyone?
Oh yes, that's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, I want to do that. So, is that cool, guys? We could do a photo on 3.
Selfie, and you guys will be in the background.
Oh, watch your coffee.
Yeah.
All right, watch your coffee.
Oh, your coffee, Val?
Mr. Dor- Oh.
I didn't do